Welcome to the Stade de la Mosson, Montpellier, full house here, and it should be a thrilling game here in Pool B between the two unbeaten teams, Australia versus Fiji. And as you can see, it's a beautiful stadium, the weather is perfect, and it should be exciting, especially because you never quite know what Fiji are going to turn up. Crowd of about 34,000 here. The stadium named after the river that runs nearby, and this is the first time in this World Cup that international rugby has ever been staged here. The first ever game was USA against Tonga a week ago, but now it is the third ever international. This is how it's gone so far, and you can see Australia in tremendous form, opening up with 13 tries against Japan, and then of course you had the tighter game against Wales, and Wales of course are still very much in the hunt, but it's Australia who are the team looking certain to go through. Alongside me as ever, Simon Mannix, and it's really a case, I think, of a rather scratch Fijian side. Will they be able to make a real contest against one of the World Cup favourites?
Well, as you rightly say, we never quite know what we're going to get with Fiji, do we? And with so many changes in the lineup today, that's the uncertainty factor. But what you can be sure of, as we've seen throughout every single game in this World Cup, the minnows, if you like, the second-tier nations in this World Cup, they'll be out there giving it their all. And if ever they needed a warning, the Australians, all they had to do was watch yesterday, South Africa against Tonga.
Well, absolutely. South Africa against Tonga, and even Samoa against England, where I was in Nantes, and some fantastic performances by the minnows, if you like, and add to them Georgia, add to them Romania and Namibia and Portugal. All of them have fronted up here and created problems for the big teams, the big fish. Well, he hasn't got the corks on his hat, but he's got everything else that indicates he's from the southern hemisphere. And here they are, a very much fancied side. They are obviously wanting to reverse what happened 4 years ago, losing in that dramatic final. And the man who is going to set the scene for us now is their coach, John Connolly. Australia against Fiji. How does the coach see it?
John, the confidence must be high after the Wales game. What approach are you hoping to see from your team today?
We've just got to play well. I mean, you've got to keep improving through this tournament. We have to play a controlled game against the Fijians because we know how dangerous they can be. And it's very much about us.
Is it going to be a tighter performance than usual? No risks today?
I know, you've got to score points. I mean, I don't think you're going to win this World Cup without scoring points. So there's middle ground between being conservative and having a go. So, and that's a judgment issue with the player with the ball.
You've named a strong side. How much respect do you have for this Fiji team?
I mean, a lot. I think I've known Nearly Tabua for a long time, been with Queensland, and I think he's a very good coach. He's done a great job. And for us, it's about getting the points to guarantee a quarter-final spot.
Okay, thank you, John. Good luck for the game.
I don't think that quarter-final spot is really in doubt, because obviously 2 out of 2, and Fiji today, Canada to come for John Connolly and his mob.
No, they've looked very good, haven't they? And he talks about improving with every game.
Here's the side lining up, and they've done respectfully a very strong lineup here with epic occasion really. George Gregan captaining his 59th time to equal the world record for that. You've got Lotu Takiri celebrating his 28th birthday. You've got Matt Giteau winning his 50th cap, and a very, very strong outfit with 12 of the side who started out against Wales. Well, they want their name on that Webb Ellis trophy for a third time to Australia, winning it, of course, twice in 99 and in 91, coming so close 4 years ago. But Fiji will have other ideas. They beat Japan 35-31, got a bonus point, beat Canada 29-16, got a bonus point over in Cardiff. But I sense on this occasion, oh, wasn't she pretty? And I sense on this occasion they are actually saving their best lineup to face Wales in Nantes in 6 days' time. I just get that feeling, because only 6 of their lineup have started a game in this tournament so far. So I just think they're putting some of their strongest players on hold to ensure they're fit. So Fijians, who have quite a few of their players playing already in France, terrific backs like De La Salle and the captain today, Seremaya Bailly, both from Clermont-Ferrand. And they've got Ngoin Drabu, who's playing today, and Domalai Lai, so familiar to many of them. Their coach, looking forward to the game, is Ili Tambua.
The spirits are pretty good before this big Australia game.
The spirits are good. We want to continue on with that spirit.
How big a game is this for you in particular as a former Australian international?
Well, it is a very big game, considering played World Cup for Australia, but I'm on the other side of the ledger now, so we've come out with high spirits.
And how do you think this Fiji team can unsettle Australia today?
Anything is possible if you believe in it.
You've picked a slightly weakened side with the Wales game in mind. That's going to make your task all the more difficult.
It is. It's going to be. But, the guys will set up a challenge.
And the weather conditions today, very hot. Is that going to make the pace a bit slower?
I don't think so. It's us. We want to quicken the game.
Thank you, Ili.
I thought, Simon, that was going to be the shortest interview of all time. Very nearly was a 4-word answer to the whole thing, but here they go.
Certainly was.
Interesting here, I think you've got to look at the halfbacks. No Nicky Little, and so a new man to me, Luveni Yali, down Evusu, one of the great sevens players, and they've got about 4 or 5 in the squad who have made their name in sevens. De La Salle, devastating player, but will the ball reach him? I think Australia will take control up front. It's very much a reserve outfit.
Well, certainly, and John Connolly talked about it, didn't he? He mentioned the word control. It's control and discipline, and allowing the likes of young Berwick Barnes behind, calling the shots today in the number 10 position. Just to control things, not get excited about it, and just do the simple things well. That is the key against these lesser teams. For the strong nations, they've got to go out there, stick to a solid game plan, and see it through. It's not a case of willy-nilly rugby attacking from all over the field. No, it starts up front. The forwards have got to dominate, get things going forward. Sensible field position, vital. A very good kicking game against Fiji that you don't just kick into. Giving them counter-attack opportunities. It's got to be accurate. But the Australians, they'll be very well prepared for this. Really an impressive World Cup so far for me.
George Gregan there, who's captaining the side, equaling that record, as I mentioned, of Will Carling. Most captaincy roles ever. They now share that role with George Gregan taking over from Sterling Mortlock, who is being rested. He's had a few knocks. I think, as you rightly said, Simon, Berwick Barnes is going to be fascinating to watch, isn't he? His 21-year-old who has come in. Stephen Larkham, well, he's had a knee operation. He had a little chip of bone removed from his knee just a week ago. As we look on, there's Gregan, there's Seremai Bai, and today's referee, Nigel Owens. But what an extraordinary talent he proved to be. I thought Berwick Barnes playing against Wales was, to the manner born.
No, exactly. And it was the game of the pool, wasn't it? When we saw this pool drawn, that was the game everyone had highlighted as being the decisive one. We all expected Wales to be really competitive at 25-3 at half-time, and Barnes calling all the right shots. He made it look easy.
What about that little fellow we just saw, the captain? 136th international today. It's
incredible record, isn't it?
Amazing. And still, I think, well, I don't know who twisted whose arm, but anyway, he was brought back. Capped first against Italy, George Gregan, in 1994. Now 34 years young, and surpassing every record with every game he plays. 136th international today, most of anyone in the world. Nigel Owens, Christophe Berdos, Mark Lawrence from South Africa. Christophe Berdos, see a lot of him in the Top 14, the French Championship. But they won't take this lightly. Australia, we've lessons learned, I think, when you just saw, I guess, above all things, yesterday, Tonga against South Africa, which I know you were watching. They set an example for everyone else to follow, didn't they, of the underdogs?
Well, they certainly have. We've seen it in the earlier rounds, the result to Georgia against Ireland, so nearly pulling off what would have been the biggest upset, I think, in world rugby. Tonga yesterday as well. Complacency is not a word that can be allowed to creep into the changing room of these favourite sides, and you can be sure. We talk about the experience of George Gregan, but the coaching staff of the Australian side, led by John Connolly, very astute coaching staff, very well prepared, and I am sure mentally this Australian team is prepared to go out there and do the job and perform professionally. That's what they have to do here this afternoon.
Well, Matt Spiro I hope is hearing me down below on the ground, Matt. Terrific atmosphere, and once again, full house for a game that many thought wouldn't be attended so well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic crowd in the Stade de la Mosson. Everybody on their feet to welcome the players, and terrific occasion. Very, very warm down here, I have to say, but hopefully it should be another exciting game of rugby. And certainly I was in Marseille yesterday where we had 60,000, another full house here in Montpellier, and that's fantastic news for the World Cup.
Well, I was in Nantes with that man you saw just there, Bernard Lapasse, the man who's run the World Cup and of course is now vice president, vice chairman of the International Rugby Board and president of the French Federation. The teams line up, and that lovely anthem of Fiji, Blessings Grant, O God of Nations. There they stand proudly with the palm tree emblem. Alongside them, Australia, Advance Australia Fair, I think is how they would say it. Simon?
I think that'd be just about right.
Lovely anthem, and for Australia, Advance Australia Fair. So all is set. Terrific Australian support. They've come here in hope and expectation this World Cup to make amends, and perhaps if there's any question mark for the later rounds, it might be about the front five, the lack of experience there. New back row. War, of course, I say he's not new. He was there in the last World Cup final. But Ricky Elson, watch out for him. A powerful man playing on the flank with Wycliffe Palu, very much a newcomer too. Two youngsters there alongside the man who's 30 tomorrow, Phil Waugh. But first of all, we have the Sibilitu, the war dance, as the South Sea Islands throw down the challenge to their big neighbours. Well, it's just such a wonderful part of the rugby preliminaries on these big occasions. The haka that obviously New Zealand produce, And then the Samoans too, and the Fijians as well. So there's, well, a very inexperienced lineup, a lot revolving around the front five here, who are very much an unknown. Only one of them, two of them in fact, have started a game in this tournament. Rawanga, the second row, who's plenty of experience, but they've got, you know, a prop and a hooker who are only playing their second ever international. So Nigel Owens from Wales in charge, Christophe Berdos, Mark Lawrence running the lines, and what a day, this man playing only his second international and his first ever start. Waisea Luveniali for Fiji. Perfect conditions, perfect pitch. And this is the home of Montpellier Aero Football Club. Should be fun. Immediate take by Wycliffe Palu, towering number 8, big, strong, but there you can see him there. Fiji will go flat out at the beginning. A question whether they will still be going flat out by the end. It may be, as we've seen before, the last quarter of the game becomes a problem for some of these less experienced sides on the international circuit. Good clearance.
Very good clearance, a good start there by the Australians. Secure at the kick-off. You see, well supported in the air there. And that's good tidy work. And with the trusty left boot of Latham in behind, that takes a lot of pressure off Barnes for the kicking game.
Chris Latham at full-back in his 76th international. Here is Veroniki Saduranga. Almost nerves. Look at his fingers on the ball. Just aiming with venture over the back, long way over the back. Just trying to gauge the distance, hence the little adjustments with his fingers, not straight, and that's just the wrong thing, isn't it?
No, it's not the start that they wanted. Any position, any opportunities they can get their hands on the ball, they've got to be taking it. They've gone for the option long. They've just overthrown by 1 metre. They sent him round there on the end.
Yeah.
And here we go, first scrum.
Asa Ratuva. So here's Gregan to feed the scrummage in his 136th, 7th game. There he is again, Gregan. Be some fierce tackles coming in, a bit like the Samoans. Same characteristics. There's a good turnover too. Good work there by Ratuva. Now it's away by Daunavuthu. Wonderful 7-a-side player, Daunavuthu, with huge pace, but will he get any room around the fringes? I doubt it. But there's Saturanga, encouraging work. Crowd trying to lift Fiji here. They did well. Look at the very good tackle, forcing the loose pass, the error.
That sort of thing, that's not the control that Coach Connolly would be looking for, is it? It's about maintaining possession and not taking the risk in this first 20-25 minutes, really setting their authority on the game. The Australians, much the favoured team, they're the ones who've got to come out and control the speed of the game.
Not steady. Daunavuthu comes from one of those beautiful outlying islands, the Yasawas. If you've ever been to Fiji, that's something you'll never forget, the sight of those fabulous islands. Against the head though on their scrum. Look at the power of Wycliffe Palu, driving on from number 8. Gregan quickly up onto Barnes. Clever little chip through. Pressure already here on the defence of Fiji. Scramble it away through Vilimoni Delasau.
Great power and pick up off the back of the scrum by Palu here. Just charging into the soft defending area around the number 10, and then Ghetto with a lovely left-footed kick just in behind. No choice but to roll that one into touch. Line out Australia.
Stephen Moore, safe, secure. So far held up. And I think they may have, if they turned it over, no they've not. Popped up by Elsom. Gregan. Some good tackles coming in. The defence holding out so far, but they've got still more to cope with. Here's the switch. Was there crossing? This is Gitto again. And then finally not released quickly enough.
You have to feel there was crossing earlier on in that action. I just wonder whether the referee blew that one up at a very quick opportunity because he realised he'd made a fault.
Yeah.
But good defence from the Fijians, you've got to say. Very well organised. They got back. Now, as you can see there, the tackler, he's no problem there with that decision from the referee at all. Good defence from Fiji.
One of the areas in which their game, there are two things really that have improved dramatically in recent years with Fiji. One has been their self-discipline on the field, which used to be questionable. The other is their defence, and yeah, Australia know they're in for a game.
Well, the defence is the easiest part to coach, isn't it? Because it's without the ball and they can put the structures in place. But these guys don't need encouragement to play with the ball because we know how brilliant they are from their exploits in the sevens rugby.
Correct. Absolutely right. Good work by Damalaile. What they want is ball in hand and a chance to do the unorthodox, which is natural to them. Daunavuthu waits. Rather a slow ball into the box. Well, it would have been if it hadn't been charged down. Back from Luveni Ali. And there's going to be a penalty anyway, I think, for offside.
We'll come back, pretty unorthodox kick there. Here's a charge from Chisholm on the short side. And it's there, it's back to Govu, who's outside, is 22, and not a great kick. I don't think kicking's a strong point.
No. No, I think Nicky Little, who's not even on the bench today, and very few others in Fiji have much ability with the boot. Not one of their strong areas. But the boot is the last resort for Fijians normally, isn't it?
Hence, they make for the spectators, it makes for a great match, doesn't it? Because their first option is to run, to attack, and to really look to exploit any opportunities possible. They put good pressure on this line out here, as we see, getting up in front. It's Palu, just lost it forward there. Dunning coming in. That's not very tidy work by the Australians. You've got to be very tight and controlled when you're playing against the likes of Fiji, because they will capitalise on any mistake and any chance for a counter. You can be sure they're going to run it back at you, because all 15 guys with the ball in hand are very, very capable.
There's not much in terms of recent history to tell you about the encounters between these two. They've been so rare in recent years. They did meet in June this year, and Australia won 49-0, but only two players of the Fijian side were in that team that day, so it really means absolutely nothing. Except to say that it was probably more of the first team selections that were on the field that day, and these are very much an understudy side, but they've only played that once since 1998. But it's, you know, it's been pretty much one-way traffic in terms of Australia wins, but there have been just 2 wins out of 17 by Fiji. Gosh, what would they give for a third one today? Here come Australia then. First real bit of movement down the back line with Phil Wall coming in between. Now it's Gregan passes on via Giteau. Latham up from the back, and some fluency here developing well. Gregan just shunts it out again. And they're being patient and accurate, but that's bit you've got to be aware of is a big hit coming in and dislodgement of the ball, but secured again as Vickerman waits, another man of vast experience. He from the Waratahs, and last time the World Cup, of course. 7 in this 15 from the last World Cup. This is not one of them. Berwick Barnes forced out with the ball. It'll be a Fijian throw-in. Well, he's
he'll come back for a knock on there. He'll come back there for a knock on there, and the tackle by Rwanga coming through here. You'll just see he gets the arm and knocks it out of the Australian hand. But the Australians looked very good in the build-up in the first 2 or 3 phases of play there. The depth was good coming straight, and well, you're going to, you know, at number 10 for Australia, you're going to be chased all day hard by them, aren't you? They're going to be tracking you down all day.
34-year-old Gregan, 21-year-old Berwick Barnes outside him. He's in the dark scrum cap. Oh, good ball. Beautifully done.
Wow, it's shades of Freddie Michalak there, wasn't it? He just sat back in the pocket, and it's the old banana kick there. We didn't have the winger, we didn't have Takiri coming down that touchline though, but he picked out a lot of space there. Beautiful kick, and the confidence of youth, I guess. It's absolutely nothing to fear. Looks a very, very exciting prospect, doesn't he?
Started out in rugby league, switched at the age of 18 from Brisbane Broncos, now with Queensland Reds.
Okay, let's go.
And looking like a class understudy to Larkham at the moment.
Delay of the throw in there by the Fijians, and they're just giving away field position, and Australia opting for the scrum to tie up the forwards. They want the backs. They want a chance to run man on man against the Fijians.
We're all waiting. He can hear.
As we see here, the throw's just not coming. Delay of the throw, and that's a technical offence, hence the free kick. The referee asking, you can see quite clearly there to get it in.
His fingers moving so much on the ball, aren't they? Adjusting before the throw-in, Savaranga. Oh, good work. Now Danavuthu sets off, and it goes with Ratuva. Good work by Danavuthu, spoiling at the base of the scrum, and this is the sort of moment the crowd will love. The Fijians are at their best in broken play. Well covered, Chris Latham. Good spoiling here.
Great spoiling. He puts the leg out and just hooks it back. Nothing Gregan can do about that. Absolutely no problem with the play. And coming through was Ratuva very quickly, and a left foot as well. The pressure comes through. Latham, though, sounders ever across onto the right foot and puts it into touch. Good play, Fiji. Now, can he hit his man? Can he hit his man?
10 minutes gone, no score. He's slow again, and the referee's said already, you know, warned him he could be in trouble. It's a problem here, but a problem too for Gregan. And Tukiri. Oh, it's still in play. Now it's Yala Tambua. Now the number 6, Talay, fed out wide. What was Luveniali thinking of? Oh dear, there's a bit of panic here. Kunavori finally. They just seemed on the ball. They looked so uncomfortable there.
They certainly did. They're snatching out at the line-out's not sure, is it? There's nothing sure what's going on. I'm not sure what Takiri was looking for here. Let's just get the ball off the field and restart again. Kept it in play as we see here, but we have a look here. No one's sure what going to do.
Oh dear, oh dear.
It's a case of composure, isn't it? It is a big occasion for Fiji, that's for sure. But they've got to maintain their composure with the ball and let their natural skills just take over.
Was that the guy who fly hacked at it? Was it the guy you've just signed for Racing?
I couldn't tell. I'd have to see that on the replay again, Nigel. I'd be hoping not.
Okay, we've crouched. Touch. Pause, engage, good, in.
Says Gregan. Trying to settle it down. They'll not be happy till they've got at least some points on the board, Australia here. The longer it goes, the more disconcerting it can be.
Spined, yeah.
Welshman Nigel Owens. He of the fine tenor voice.
Closer. Touch.
Entertained
Pause, engage.
Many a gathering in his South Walian home. Basically, that's where they want to play it, but that was meant to bounce into touch and not to give the counter-attack chance.
Palu's getting through a lot of work already, isn't he?
Yeah.
He really is making a lot of tackles, but he's penalised in that situation. He made the tackle, he didn't get out of it. As you see here, it's a very good chase. They're coming in on the tackle there.
There's Lingai, another of the Sevens squad, who's probably their most experienced man on the field.
You just see Palu there. He's just lying completely on the wrong side, and there was a double tackle with Drew Mitchell. Well, the Fijians dominating field position early on in this game.
Now with Breve is Lingai, the fullback, ex-Harlequins, Southland, Japan. He's played around the world, this man, at fullback. Let's see if he can get it in time this time. Sakuranga. They've got a tap back, however Wild wasn't very helpful. Here's Palu coming through, making amends for his error earlier. Gregan, Barnes. Terrific.
Oh, absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? He didn't have a lot of space to kick, and the Fijians looked to have this well covered in the back. Positional wise, they're looking perfect. He just dropped that within 2 metre or 1 metre of the touchline. That's a beautiful kick.
It's that warm. It's a beautiful day here right down south. Montpellier, beautiful city just west of Marseille, and the sun shines brightly. In fact, it really is a hot afternoon. It won't worry the Fijians one jot, nor the Australians, but it's on the hot side for rugby. Mid-afternoon here. Of course, so many of the games being played in the evening. But don't think any of us mind that.
This line out is shambolic for the Fijians at the moment,
isn't it? And look at that, Danavuthu gets the ball and 3 men at the same time. Captain Seremai Bai feeds Luveni Yali. Doesn't inspire huge confidence yet, but he's really been thrown in the deep end, this 21-year-old fly half. There's Danavuthu on the receiving end.
That's solid pressure though, isn't it? And again, it's Palu. He backed up there with Phil War, unable to force the turnover, but they forced the rather poor kick there. And again, it's a field position. The line out, I think they really want to take this one and drive it through the middle.
They need the basics here. Good work, Vickerman. Giteau inside, back to the pack, back to the basics. Gregan again. They've always got these runners. Oh, nearly the slip ball from Chisholm. It doesn't matter, they've got men wide. Good enveloping tackle though. Stop the overlap being used. Gregan, but it's pressure and more pressure. Up through the middle. Palu, no, he couldn't round it off. Tried to offload. Fijian hand just got in the way, tapped it back, and again they're denied. And they want to go quickly, and they can. Hands should normally be great. Crowd love this, of course, as De La Salle tries to get away. If he does, they'll not catch him, but he can't. And this is the excitement that always makes Fiji such a thrilling team to watch, but some of the basic skills let them down. That was a giveaway of the ball as Latham counter-attacks. Rather, Drew Mitchell had come across.
He's had that one ripped away from him. It's a good turnover opportunity here for Fiji. No, Australia's. Well played Australia to hold on to that one.
Looked like Mitchell had lost his Palu, who's been very much in the game so far. It's Takiri. Lottie Takiri. Oh, and again. Oh, yes. Giteau goes round in support. And that was cruel luck. Finally, they break the duck. And it's Matt Giteau celebrating his 50th cap with another try, his 19th for Australia. Finally the deadlock broken, and in the end it was just a little bit of bad luck for Fiji, who tapped the ball away.
It certainly was.
Into the hands of the Aussie.
They looked to have forced the turnover. Palu does very well. Takiri regathers a difficult pass, looking very sharp, isn't he, Takiri there, but again just the bounce of the ball there, just slipping out of the hands of the Fijian defender Kunavoa, and in goes Giteau. But the Australian pressure, the support comes from depth the whole time, and when they're running through the phases here already in this first 15 minutes, they've put together some lovely pieces of play. Hold on to the possession very well. Just the last pass at the moment is hindering the Australians, but for an opening score after 17 minutes, that's a very well taken try.
By the world's most expensive rugby player, well, certainly in Australia, and I think probably in the world if one were to work it all out. Matt Giteau, conversion is good, it's 7-0. And I would imagine, Matt Spiro, that some of the nervous Australian supporters are mightily relieved to get some points at last.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't an easy opening for the Australians, and they've got plenty of support here in the Stade de la Mosson. There are swathes of Australian gold in all four stands, but certainly all the French supporters, as always, getting right behind the underdog. We've already had the first shouts of Fiji, Fiji. I've actually got some English voices behind me shouting "Come on Fiji," and they sound suspiciously like New Zealand accents.
Well, I couldn't understand that one, Matt.
It's hard to believe, isn't it? There's such friends across the Tasman. There's no rivalry at all between Australia and New Zealand, is there, Simon?
It's rumoured that there over the years have been a few skirmishes.
We're 80 minutes into the first half. It's 7-0 to Australia. And, well, Fiji held them out for all that time, but I wonder for how much longer before they concede another score. It could be coming soon with Rocky Elsom. He's a mighty force, and here is good support play. On to Gregan, just short of the line. Palu is there, it's simply back, they're dominating the ball. Latham on the switch, Giteau up the middle, rather Barnes up the middle to Gregan. But not for the first time. They've held on. There's something I know that Nigel Owens is very, very quick about, and they didn't release quickly enough, and this is just rushed and wasted opportunity. And here's the near try.
Well, it's great running by Elson, very strong runner, but it's the support players coming the whole time. The ball's been made available, and that's very, very good play by the Australians. However, it's just that they're just not finishing it off at the moment, are they? They're getting within 5 metres, then making the mistake. Gregan that time penalised for holding on. I don't know what De La Salle was up to. Quick tap, and then, well, he shanked it off the side of the boot straight into touch.
Absolutely. Completely waste hard-won possession, scarce possession, and just thrown away or kicked away. Not for the first time.
Number 5.
All a bit messy, but safely with Australia again. They are looking powerful, impressive, dominant. Going wide, they should have a man over here. Did that go forward? Yes, it did. No try to Kiri.
Very unlucky, but wonderful handling from the Australian backline. Just makes such a difference. It's a pleasure to watch this from a, I guess from a coaching viewpoint, if you like. But he was just a little bit flat, was Latham there. But it was a line ball. And, well, I don't know, maybe just drifted forward, but it's good hands, it's straight running. As we see Latham being tipped up there rather unnecessarily.
My goodness, glad he completed the somersault.
Such skillful players, the Australians, aren't they?
They've been, to me, one of the most impressive sides of this tournament so far. Well, they were bound to be, but I mean, I think quietly they're doing a lot right and they're building beautifully.
Totally agree with you, Nigel. They just have a habit, don't they, of just peaking at the right time. World Cup here.
With all the prospect and the likelihood, I guess, without prejudging England versus Tonga, a repeat of the 2003 final. Down in Marseille in the quarter-final. That will be some occasion.
That certainly will be. That certainly will be.
That's just assuming the rest of the pool goes the way most people would think, with England playing Tonga and Australia playing Canada. But you never quite know. But England-Australia looks the one on the cards. Wales, South Africa, the other from these pools. Chance here. Hard-won possession. Can Fiji make something of it at last? No, it's just a little knock-on.
Just a little knock-on. I thought the referee maybe had missed that one.
I did too.
Yeah. I think Fijians were hoping that he had missed it.
And the crowd, other than those in gold jerseys. So, as Natani Talae, he's working with Worcester in England at the moment, another who's come through the sevens, but there's so little known about these players. I mean, all the familiar Fijians are either on the bench or not even in the squad for the day. And I don't know, it's disappointing. Not quite as disappointing as seeing a Scotland team that is a totally reserve team facing New Zealand. I find that, unacceptable.
No, I think, well, the All Blacks, the game's been played in Scotland already, and, you'd hope that the Scottish playing at home would back themselves against any opposition to go out there and make a really good go of it.
Absolutely, and in front of their own crowd, who will have paid a lot of money to go and see what they think is the full Scotland team, and to be disappointed in Frank Haddon's choice with just a complete, well, almost entire reserve squad. He says, oh, we can still win it, but Scotland, I think, playing at Murrayfield against New Zealand should be Scotland A and not Scotland B.
It's certainly it's a fabulous rugby occasion, isn't it? And it should be respected that it's not every year the All Blacks are going to be playing in Scotland.
Exactly. And all credit then to Australia here, who have respected Fiji. I would imagine one would have expected Australia, with any 15 picked out of their squad, could have beaten Fiji. I mean, that's not prejudging things too much, I hope, but they have gone with pretty near full strength side. And it makes a lot of sense.
It's this type of play here that really impresses me about the Australians. Very, very clinical, isn't it? Their kicking game's very well organised, and they're hitting into finding the space in behind, just coming down, just taking up the field position. It's a case of just getting that last pass to hand at the moment for Australia. Albeit we have played 22 minutes of play, they've only had the one score so far, but they are looking good. I think they just start building it up, start picking up the speed of the play just a little bit more. I'm sure Connolly's not too worried at the moment.
No, the signs are propitious. Matt Giteau, lovely interplay here. Now to Kiri, he's got Latham inside. It's gone forward again, just not quite finishing things off, but wonderful build-up and.
But it's so clinical. I think we've just got a foot just in touch here. Flying defence, he does just enough. The foot just cuts the line, and on the line, of course, is out. But it's just so easy, wasn't it, in their play? Everyone running onto the ball, everyone is straight. It's a simplicity, and that's where rugby at its best, is when the simple things are done well.
Well, he still hasn't had his 28th birthday present yet. Lottie Takiri, playing against his own native land, of course. One of the Fijians, two of them in the side. Born in Fiji, but through and through Australians now. Once more with Latham. Oh, shrugs off the tackle. One man to beat, little chip ahead by Drew Mitchell, and ball rebounds into touch off the defender.
Latham's so important to this Australian effort, isn't he? He's made an incredible comeback from that knee injury, really, when you think about it, to be here and playing so well in this World Cup, and so solid.
And has had, just prior to this World Cup, only 35 minutes of rugby in 2007, as you say, that operation which one thought might have ended the career. Well, here he is at 32, revitalised and a key component, as Simon Mannix has just said.
Well, they've got many key players in this team, but he's one of their big ones, isn't he? And Sterling Morton not on the field today. Another one, certainly. So, they've got quality players right through this Australian side. Good defence here by Fiji. Govu's in over the top of that one.
And still on the theme of Chris Latham, of course, for him, well, it's a long-awaited opportunity, because he's been in two other World Cups, but he's always been the understudy. I was thinking Matt Burke in '99, and Rogers it was, wasn't it, the last time out? So he's finally got his chance, and it's so well deserved.
He's been a very, very good servant to Australian rugby, hasn't he? Not only for their state teams, but also playing for the Australian team. You don't have the impression watching him play how elusive he actually is. He's a long striding guy. He does not come across to you as a really, like, if I could go back to a former New Zealand fullback and Christian Cullen, a guy at his best, would just glide across the ground and float across it. Latham brings something else, but so powerful and deceptively quick.
Well, as the Southern Hemisphere equivalent of Alex Ferguson is John Connolly, and he'll probably get a good job as sort of promotions officer for chewing gum. That's really what I was thinking of then. Lovely atmosphere here, though, isn't it, Matt? And as always, the happy, smiling Fijians. I don't want that to sound patronising, but I should think they're quite pleased that their team are only 7 points adrift.
Yeah, it is a great atmosphere. We've got this brass band as well starting up behind me.
Oh, I thought that was you conducting them.
No, I'm afraid not. But just on the John Connolly, it was interesting. He looked very, very focused and slightly wary of this Fijian side before the game, and he spent about 10 or 15 minutes out in the middle speaking to his counterpart, Ili Tabua.
Yeah, old friends, I believe, or acquaintances, obviously,
back from the Queensland days when Ili Tabua was coached by John Connolly in the early 90s.
Good.
So, when's the second one going to come for Australia? Some lovely hands. And seems to always be someone in their support. Not quite so well then, but still well. They clean it out well, don't they? It's the one fearsome aspect, of course, that's disrupting them a bit, is some of the big tackles coming. They're very fast into the tackle. Relish tackling like the Samoans and the Tongans.
Well, it's such an important part of the game of rugby for them, is the physical contact, and they do relish in it. They're working hard in defence here.
Drew Mitchell driving into the 22. Gregan again, under pressure for once, wild pass for once, picked up by Barnes. Well, it's not all going one way. It's the Fijian defence which is just keeping Australia at bay.
Stay out now, stay out now.
Elsom, Latham coming up on the short side. Nat Dunning.
Tackler move.
Very determined.
More play by Dunning.
What?
Play the ball with the tackler, okay?
Well, I think the referee's got that call wrong.
That wrong.
You watch Dunning spin out of the tackle here, coming in straight on the ball.
Tries to take the ball over his head here. I'm quite sure he did.
Captain.
And it's ripped out here. Coming in there, it's stolen away. Absolutely no problem with that. That's no problem.
That's perfectly legit, isn't it?
I don't make the issue now, okay? But if I hear you calling for offences again, rolling away, you're holding on, I will penalise you. No, yes, you. Yeah. Don't call for any more offences. Thank you.
little lecture for Gregan there. He's obviously, well, scrum halves do this, don't they? They're renowned for it. Yeah, the Gus P shots and the Matt Dawsons and the rest.
It goes with the nature of the position, I think, that...
referee holding up, referee offside, referee, yeah. Well, Nigel Owens is saying, don't matter if you're the most capped player in the world, which he is, you're not going to tell me what's an offence and what isn't.
I think this is a part of the Australian game. Without Mortlock on the field is a weakness. Certainly goal kicking. Matt Giteau, wonderful footballer, but goal kicking not really his strongest point.
Yeah, they need Mortlock. They do need Mortlock.
As he slots it right down the middle with a lovely strike. And I just feel that
10-0.
With Mortlock, when he's not on the field, they certainly look a little bit, with the goal kicking wise, look a little bit fragile. This was a nice strike here, as you'll see here, well balanced, coming through. He's a prodigiously talented footballer, Matt Giteau. Not in the style of some modern centres, 110 kilograms and things like that, but beautifully gifted player with the ball in hand. He distributes very well. It's the Australian style, isn't it, now, of having pretty much two playmakers, decision makers in the 10 and 12 positions. We see New Zealand now with Major, McAllister and Carter, who the three of them work in a similar tandem and as a duo, and the Australians as well.
So it's Giteau 10, Fiji 0. 28 minutes gone. Again, when doesn't want to sound patronising, but Fiji contested well. They've defended superbly well, really. Onslaught after onslaught, wave after wave. But it's only 10-0 and only one try, and there's a knock-on. Advantage Fiji. Can they get some advantage? They'd rather have the loose ball than the set piece.
They certainly would. Just watching the line-out, just a perfect example, isn't it? Is that they're just not effective in the set pieces of set piece play. However, that's it's the story of combinations and things like that. That's a lovely steal there, though, getting up in front of his man there, Vickerman.
Yeah, he's good.
Oh, he is a good footballer.
2 metres, 4 centimetres helps in that respect.
Another tight head.
That's 6 feet 8. Not for the first time. Useful ball, chasing hard is Drew Mitchell. Ooh, he's in trouble. And De La Salle has not had a happy time. One of the few, really, who's tends to panic a bit, ball in hand in defence, not in attack. He's wonderful when he's away, but not his strong point. Bit like Sireli Mbombo and Thao Thao. Give them the ball, give them half a yard, they're gone. Wonderful. But defence...
That's always the thing when you're playing against Fiji, turn them round, get it back in behind them, but you've got to find that space with a good kick chase, just as you rightly say, is their decision making at times not the greatest. They're just not being accurate at the moment, the Australians. They're just missing the passes, aren't quite going to hand. This will be frustrating, this last 10 minutes for them.
Palu then, after Elsom cleaned up, but no sort of little detail that can cost you dear against a side that will exploit it. The drive on of Daniel Vickerman. South African born, but institution in Aussie rugby. Here's a chance. Mitchell goes through against De La Salle. Mitchell wins it.
Chris Latham, what a beautifully weighted kick in behind. Once again, we see another try in this World Cup 2007 from the little kick through, be it the grubber kick or the chip kick. Latham switching wide, takes a wide pass. Just have a look at this. The control and the weight of the kick is beautiful. It sits up just before the line, had it rolling end over end. He took it close to the defence, onto his left foot, drew the defender right onto him. Beautiful play, great understanding and communication between the two of them there. Mitchell, good try.
I think any other angle of kick, it wouldn't have been there. De La Salle would have got it, but as you absolutely pinpointed, it was just that little angle and weight on it was the only way I think it would have popped up so rightly for Drew Mitchell.
It was very, very well played there by Latham, and we're seeing more of it, aren't we, in this World Cup? We've seen, I don't know how many tries we've seen so far, just from the little kicks in behind.
2 yesterday from Johnny Wilkinson. We had the same from Michalak, as you said.
So with Michalak, with Ellie Saad
it's a reflection too of outstanding defences, isn't it? You've just got to get behind.
And now that is the easiest way to get in behind the line. I think coaches have identified is just slipping it in behind them.
Defences are getting too good. Here's Giteau. That'll do.
This is the guy who struggles with his goal kicking. Well kicked again. Testament to his salad.
17-0.
As we see it again here, Gregan, as is his wont, he picks up the ball and he slides away from the ruck area, gives himself that little bit more time and asks questions of the defence as well. Then Latham, right in the face of the defence. That's the key to the kick, is getting right on top of the defence. Just drops onto the left foot. And Mitchell through running a very good line. Well played, De La Salle. Maybe he could have done a little bit better, but well played, Australia.
8 minutes to half-time then. Fiji, remember, and Australia, the two unbeaten teams in this pool. Wales having lost to Australia earlier, having played 3 matches. So, a big day.
The structure's not quite right here. There's too many guys in front of the ball. Gregan opting for the box kick again, looking to put it back in behind him.
De La Salle tested. Equal to that one.
Fijians having to commit so many players at the breakdown, aren't they? Just to try and hold on to the ball. We have a look. We've probably got more than half the team in shot here.
It's funny, isn't it, looking at De La Salle and criticising him in defence, because he has been one of the great seven-a-side players in the heyday of Waisali, Sarevi and so on. And I saw him once score 7 tries in one tie in 14 minutes, and it was just unstoppable. But he's, I don't know, it's about 5 years ago now, and he's never been quite the same force in the 15s as happened to, like Sarevi himself, indeed, who was never quite the 15s player, but he ruled the world in 7s. Sadly is now taking a back seat from the 7s game. So
many of the Fijians, though, isn't it? We watch them in 7s rugby and absolutely in awe of them. They are just beautiful runners with the ball. One hand, just the gestures they have with the ball. They're just so easy with the ball in their hand. They make it look just an absolute pleasure, don't they? But then when it comes to 15s, you need to have more discipline. You need to, it's more technique as well, because the set piece is so important. This is where they fall down. And once again, the hesitation at the line-out because the combinations aren't quite right. The timing's not there. Free kick, Australia, with Palu yet again carrying strongly.
So here come Australia again. Giteau nailed well that this time. Off goes Mark Chisholm, his first start. Quite extraordinary, his rise to the top level. And goes Matt Dunning. Chisholm, 32 out of the last 33 test matches pre-World Cup. Extraordinary resilience and continuity. Gregan now. Then Barnes. Then offloaded. Giteau out wide. Mitchell chasing for his second.
Another beautifully weighted kick there from Giteau. Maybe I felt he could have gone through the hands on that occasion, but once again they're just asking questions. It's so easy with the ball, aren't they? Yeah. You feel they're a little bit flat here, but the hands are good. Palu, beautiful hands on. Opted for the kick ahead. Again, it's weighted beautifully. It's not going out. They know that Fiji are going to have to take this ball over the touchline, and they force the line out 5 metres out. Great hands, Palu. Good technique.
It was, wasn't it? And the real chance here. Yeah, cover of Danavuthu just kept Australia out. How much longer? And they're ruling all the set piece. Now there's a missed move in the centre, wide from Giteau. So Latham coming up from fullback again. Off goes Palu, he sees the line, just short. For how long will they be denied? Not long by the look of it. But Shepherdson held up, terrific effort there. But they've got more to face now. Giteau pirouettes through and scores again.
Well, it was just a case of when, wasn't it? They protected the ball very well. Very effective at the breakdowns, the Australian at the moment. They're only having to commit 1 or 2 players every time. That's allowing for very clean ball. It doesn't matter who's going into play at number 9. They're able to clear it away. It's very impressive stuff there. Good build-up to that try. So this is the end of it. We see Gregan bringing the runners on to him here. I think that was Chisholm, Shepherdson, who was just knocked short of the line there. Then Palu. Giteau spins out of the tackle. He had Takeri unmarked outside him. Very well played. Close to the line. Difficult to stop with a little pirouette there. The spin move, we're seeing more and more on this as well, utilised now in rugby. So something from the American football running backs, if you like, and you see him spinning his way over the line. Not a big man at all, Giteau, but very, very effective close to the line with that spin.
notches up then his 20th try. Matt Gitto, ex-Brumbies, and then transferred for massive sums of money, about $1 million, wasn't it, to Western Force. And he's still only 24, 25 on the 29th, whenever that is, of September. Not long, but what a remarkable player he's proved to be. Versatile too. And his kick is going to be very close, and he's missed one. Not everything's been perfect then, but this was neatly done. They had a choice here. Either could have scored. Out wide to Kiri, Latham in behind, and just a little spin through the tackle.
That's just manipulating. It was a 3-on-2 situation. Latham there, as you say, he was in depth. Takiri was well positioned, very well played, Australia.
Well, I know there's a whole bunch of people here for whom I got tickets for this match. Some are out in the stand around us, desperate to get Fiji on the board. All coming from local villages near where I live in the south of France.
Well, here we go. Here's maybe a chance.
Maybe the chance coming now with Ratuva setting it up. Bit of possession for Kunavore. Possession's been the problem. The power of Neivur. Then Daunavuthu, Luveniali. Just need to get some sequence, some confidence with ball in hand. Luveniali again. This is by the captain. Then the big drive up. Then the pick up. Oh, it's gone forward, and Govu was there. And you could just tell from the crowd reaction, can't you, Matt, that that's what they want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. They'd love to see Fiji get on the score sheet in the last minute of this half. And given the reaction to the Australia tries, it might make for a nice change, because every time Australia score, we're getting some Australian music booming out
Yes.
of the system here. We had Waltzing Matilda when
that's
Drew
original,
Mitchell
wasn't
scored.
it?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how many more of them we're going to have to listen to, but probably quite a few.
It's looking that way. About a minute and a bit to go to half-time. Well, he's impressive, isn't he, Palu?
The question mark over him is just can he sustain the effort for 80 minutes? And he's got through a lot of work in this first 40, but I imagine within 20 minutes of the second half he'd be putting his heels up for a well-earned rest. Of course, in a game like this, it's about injuries as well. This is a very good up and under here.
Oh, a chance on now. Oh, went backwards, says the referee. This is Rocky Elsom, rocked backwards himself, and the crowd rising here in the last moments. Have we got time for the line out? You heard the referee say certainly half a minute.
Confusion here in behind the line. Phil Ward just lost that completely as Delasau put up a very good kick there. He lost it himself, as you'll see there. Elson does well, tries to cover, holds his feet nicely under the attention of three tacklers coming in there from Fiji. But last throw before the half time, let's hope they can get this one line out right, because the line out has not been functioning at all well.
Attention for Sauturanga, one of those who plays his rugby within Fiji at Duavata and Naitasiri. One of the big, well, it's all a hotbed of rugby, of course, Fiji. But Naitasiri. Last play, you heard the referee say. A lot of these players coming through their established 21 age level. They're beginning to get things really organised. Of course, they've had the Pacific Nations Cup, the IRB have introduced. That's been a great stepping stone for them when they played Australia A and Tonga Junior All Blacks, Japan, Samoa. Terrific new tournament that's really getting well established and helping the South Sea Islanders in particular to build their game and get a really meaningful 15-a-side competition of a good level. Here they come now. Little bit of drive here. That's a bit of Tabur homework paying off. The coach. Sauturanga waits, and Daunavuthu, the scrum half, behind him. The hooker it is. They're always confident with their hands. Wonderful instinctive handling skills. Now a bit of running, light of Akali. Then it's off from the wing from Delasau. And a chance in the corner, powering to the line. And there's a try to be given. It's going up the top, but it looks to me as though Isoa Neivur will get the try right on half-time. Touch judge is quite happy with it, 100% happy
with it.
It's going to be a try. That's what the crowd wanted, not the Aussies, of course, but look at this.
Well played here. De La Salle does very well coming in. Look at the way he's straight in the line, just held up. I think it was Ashley Cooper, just held him up momentarily, and that's a very clear try. Well played, Fiji. They had to go with the forwards first try. De La Salle was the man they can thank for this try. Sure, it's a great finish under a lot of pressure, but he is a superbly strong footballer, Nerval, and that is well finished. You see De La Salle just straightens, gets it, holds him nicely. Nerval does incredibly well here.
Didn't he?
He really did. That's the power of this man. I'd heard talk during trainings going into this World Cup that they were training against Toulouse, and the Toulouse players were extremely impressed. They said, we've got another Thalthini Boother on our hands here. They were extremely impressed with him.
Oh, crowd have loved it, and just delightful for them that Fiji have scored on the stroke of half-time. So it's been Australia, of course, dominant, but that has lifted the occasion. The fabulous ending for Fiji, their try. Giteau 2 tries, Mitchell 1 try, 22-0. Australia lead at the break. So it was a rare flourish early on, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Early on, Australia dominated both field position and territory. As we see the foot used to hook it back out of Gregan's hands, much to his disgust. And Ratuva away, just the skill here to just drop it on the left foot there, and just the old centre kick, not often used these days in rugby, is it? But it was a good option there. He realised he didn't have the speed to get in, but then we had Australia started to crank it up a gear. We see the good handling here. Again, outside, picking off. This led to the try. First try from Giteau, as we see Giteau here. The players always coming through in support, always coming from depth. It's so often talked about, but the Australians, now the South Africans doing it well. New Zealanders generally always do it well. Is that support player coming from depth, using the ball here. Went through at least 6 or 7 hands in the build-up to this try. Takeri, he's looking sharp, I've got to say. It's the sharpest I've seen him probably look this season. And Giteau finishing off nicely there. Line-out's been working well. They're using the option. That was Elson that time coming off the top. The pass is in behind the back. It's all so easy. Unfortunately, Takeri gets just a foot in touch here, but it was lovely build-up play, and it's this kind of thing that we know the Australians are capable of doing it. You feel that if there's one or two teams in the World Cup that you say you've got to score a try to win the World Cup, you probably pick between Australia and New Zealand, capable of creating something from set-piece play. Again, it's good ball handling here by the Australian forwards. Working well, the clean-out's effective. You just see it's easy for Gregan behind that. Latham up the short side. We talked about what a beautifully weighted kick this was, and it's clever play.
It's a dream platform, isn't it, for a scrum half this? He's just getting it all on a plate. This was clever, lovely touch, lovely skill, and a great understanding too, because you can see the winger knows exactly where he's meant to be going here. Superbly done.
He really cut the line, didn't he? He had De La Salle watching him on the outside. You see he just hits back off the left foot there, comes through. De La Salle, he's lost his man. Lost the opportunity to maybe avoid that score.
A lot of pressure, didn't always produce the tries, and it's amazing how well the defence hung out on several occasions of the Fijians as the line was bombarded and battered like this. But eventually, you know, there's something's going to give. I thought it was there for a moment.
You can just see the difference now. Yes, you can just see in the difference in the breakdown area. The Australians only having to commit 1 or 2 players to hold on to the ball, and it's easy for the player who's coming into play in the number 9 slot. This here with the highlight for most of the crowd, though, wasn't it? This wonderfully taken try. Again, I've got full credit to De La Salle. You're crying out for them to shift it wide. De La Salle, it comes from depth, straightens and holds the defenders because he is such a threat himself. And then what a finish.
I wouldn't have backed him to score from there because the sizable cover of the Australians, but he took them with them, and of course he'd cut back sufficiently inside, and watch how he actually angles himself on the final pass. There's De La Salle, beautifully weighted, beautifully timed. Now he comes in, and there you see he had just enough room. Although he was forced back, it wasn't forced far enough to take him into touch.
That's the power of these Fijian players, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, we talk about it.
Terrific.
We see it so often, as you say, in the sevens rugby, and when they're given the opportunity, the likes of De La Salle, that they can open their legs up and score and delight on the Fijian bench.
Terrific. Wonderful score. So it'll be the youngest player in the Wallabies squad, Berwick Barnes. If you've not seen him before, take note. You'll hear a lot more about this youngster in international sport. The only uncapped player in the Wallabies squad, and looking like he's so much at home. Berwick Barnes of Queensland Reds to start this second half. 22-5. Australia will not settle for that. Start with, they want to get another try to get their bonus point. And remember, these players are playing for quarter-final test places now as well. That's Adam Ashley Cooper. And then Giteau. So no changes thus far in the Wallaby lineup. 3 new in the Fijians for the second half. Playing the ball off your feet. Gregan, Barnes. No, it's Giteau, was it? No, Barnes.
Very similar, aren't they, with the ball in hand
and
with the headgear,
and the headgear and the height and the build.
Yeah, they just have the same gestures as well with the ball. They both play with the ball 2 hands a lot of the time. Yeah. Big dummy passes, but we just come back for the penalty here. And it was what is it? It was sort of a slow start to the second half, wasn't it? I expected Australia to come out and really try and up the level here. But I think they're going to take the 3 points on offer.
Nigel, the 3 men who have gone off, the 2 half-backs, Daunivuchu and Luveniali, and also the second row, Isoa Domolele, has made his way to the bench.
Thank you, Matt Spiro. I hope you're in the shade, are you, down there? It's sweltering on the pitch.
It's getting a bit hot. I need a baseball hat, I think.
So, not messing around here, Australia. They know there's still a game on. And all the kicking experience maybe is good for Matt Giteau as understudy to Sterling Mortlock. And he's made a good fist of it too.
He certainly has kicked well this afternoon. Despite some earlier worries I had about his goal kicking,
well, I think the very fact that, you know, John Connolly is saying, you know, kick penalties because you need the practice mate for the big occasion.
Oh, without a doubt. And also I think it's a sign of respect for the Fijians. That try they took just before half-time, they're a bit of a wake-up call there for the Australian side. So it's a case that came out. They did very well. They won the restart. It was a very good kick by Barnes. Regathered it. Came out of there after 2 minutes with 3 points. That's what it's about, taking points when they're on offer.
And Australia would clearly be expecting this to be a tougher obstacle, I think, than Canada, which is their last game. So that's just in touch. That's unlucky.
What a kick from Berwick Barnes.
Wonderful, wasn't it? Rauluni just stepping in touch, but as you say, the other side of the coin, watch this. Well, the kick was just
didn't quite know where his touchline was. There we go. You can see he clearly took it out, and well, it was spectacular, but all to no avail as an Australian liner. Beautiful kick from Barnes. It's a 50-metre gain there.
It's quite funny really seeing Rauluni here, because he grew up in Australia and played for Queensland schoolboys. Actually got into the Australian under-19 side, but has been a very popular figure in the UK, playing at scrum half here and be their #1 player. I'm just a bit disappointed they didn't target Australia more with their full lineup. Drop goal, is it? Oh my goodness me.
How easy was that?
Barnes, need I say.
He realised they were playing the advantage. It was a free kick. Sure, it was a free kick, but the execution superb. He sits back. It is not an easy drop kick, and that is beautifully taken.
That's stunning. Well, he got 2 tries in his debut as a replacement against Japan, and he's now just slotted one of the best drop goals I've seen. I mean, it takes your breath away because it was so unexpected. It was a difficult angle, as Simon said, and he just turned away. He knew it was on target. He didn't. Amazing. 28-5.
Very, very sloppy play here from the kickoff. Lottie De Kerry hesitant coming in on the ball, let it bounce. It was Johnny Gobu there putting pressure through on it, forced a scrum position for Australia. This will infuriate Gregan, I'm sure. There's just no need for that sort of play from the Australians. Kickoff is so vital. Or after you've scored the points, it's a case of regaining position and getting back down the opposition half as quickly and as effectively as possible. Now they've just taken all that pressure back on themselves.
Touch, pause, engage, middle. Good.
Well, I have to say, you know, I was hoping for Fiji to be more competitive up front, but they've just rested all their better forwards, the likes of Graham Dews and Samisi Naevo, Akapu Sinclair, you know, and Koto the hooker. They've rested them because they're targeting Wales, but I think it's a pity, and I think the experience gained for their frontline players in defeat, so what? They would have put it more pressure, because this has not been any real workout in a sense for the Australian front five.
No, certainly not, but yeah, you can see, you know what, that's a huge scrum. All the referees. Well, they're still here, and here we go.
This is a chance, solid opportunity they love. The drive on is by Saturanga, now by Rauluni. Can they create as they did at the end of the first half? Mosese Rauluni. Then the breakdown, it's gone backwards, but it's back into Australian hands. Gregan, enough of the nonsense, and tucked away. Well, one of those rare chances, they won't get many. Giteau tied us up.
The Australian defensive organisation was very effective there, wasn't it? They opted to, they played the penalty very quickly, and we see Rapini there. It was taken in the tackle by Barnes. Just pressure though, isn't it? Australian jerseys everywhere, and then back in behind. Giteau clears away off the left foot.
Can they get the set piece? Scarce one any. That's all right. Tale down. Oh, and up through the middle. Tremendous from Rauluni. Now a chance. Will he get to the corner? He should do. It's Ratuva, and Fiji's second try. Well, never count them out. Never ever count them out. And what a piercing run through the line out. There we were saying they never do any good in the set piece, but something really for the impartials and the Fijian supporters to really rave about. Terrific.
Well, they exploited a huge hole in the middle of the Australian line. You'll see it here. That is enormous, gaping hole. Connolly will be furious with that. Rauluni did it very well. He took the gap and then just drew the man. And Ratuva, who he's been very busy, hasn't he? You've got to say he's had a couple of good runs with the ball in hand, and he was going to always get home from that, even under the attention. Latham trying to come across. No way he's going to be stopped from there. But well played, Rauluni at scrum half there. He picked the gap beautifully. It was a good line out when it just they threw it to the first jumper there. I think it was
Tale, wasn't it?
Tale was in there jumping at the first.
Oh, crowd are loving this. Ratuva with his first try for Fiji, and the kick is close. The cheers tell you it's over from Seremaya Bai, the captain.
Well played here. You've got to say this is the bust here. Rauluni going through the middle of the line out, and then Ratuva straight on his shoulder. Strong running, good finish. Big question marks over that Australian defence in the middle of the line out. That shouldn't happen for a team of such good organisation as Australia. I know Connolly and forwards coach Foley, they'll be very disappointed with that.
28-12. No respite really for Australia at this point. They can't sit back on their laurels. Game isn't won. Off goes Leo Waravu. There's a bit of blocking. Oh, crowd don't like that. Player obstructing and allowing Lewa Ravu to come through the replacement second row. And
well, they're going to take the shot again.
Predictable response from the crowd.
There certainly is, but
let's have a look here.
Yeah, you can just see he's got well taken out there, wasn't he? More.
Yes, he was.
But you give the Fijians, they get a little bit of confidence, things grow, they start to put a bit more pressure on, the ball spills out the side, they're away, aren't they?
I just wish they had their frontline troops out there. I think it would be a much closer contest. If this were the situation now, and you say, well, you've got the likes of some of those I mentioned just now, like Nicky Little, like Navo out there, you'd say they could do a sort of a Tongan on the Tongan or a Samoan backlash, you know?
Yeah, certainly, and you did right, and maybe, you know, see, always much easier in hindsight, always easier for us to give our opinions on it, but maybe if they were like the South Africans yesterday, they were all on the bench, weren't they? The big guns came off and they made a difference.
Yeah.
It's well struck by Ghetto again. But Nicky Little today, well, he's running around with the water bottles, so he's...
John Connolly will not be terribly chuffed. Got through another packet of chewing gum. 31-12. They're just keeping a nice little cushion, but they'll be very self-critical about this performance.
Of course they will.
That's why they're often so successful.
Yes.
Selamai Bai with a restart. And there's Takiri.
Back, Fiji.
Two top flight brothers, of course, the Takiris. One in the squad, the other not. Big Yala Yala Tabua.
It's not his fault, he can't go, he's tied in from the neutral one. Scrum down to a ball, okay?
You really feel that the Fijians, if they want us, can step up the speed of things. It's about shifting the ball, isn't it? It's not trying to take them on in this area. This is a very poor kick from George Gregan's got to be said. He had lost his wing at Takiri into the ruck. He still opted for the box kick, which to me was a surprising choice. Raul does well, though, competes for the ball, does enough to distract Moore under Moore's attention. Anyway, we've got a scrum opportunity here. Let's hope they shift it wide.
Rauluni, 32-year-old now. He's been around a long time. It's his 38th cap. It's only 100 less than the guy standing next to him. But what a thrill, you know. One of the all-time greats, names of rugby, George Gregan. To be alongside him, to be playing Australia in the World Cup. Wonderful experience. And not being intimidated anymore. Fiji, what's happening there? It's gone 90. Scrummage will revert. The put into Australia.
That's a legal wheel.
Australian scrums look very solid today, hasn't it? Okay, we know that they're up. It's not a very experienced forward pack in front of them, but they're looking solid in what they're doing. They're looking very tight. The techniques are looking very good. Yeah. Much talked about this Australian scrum for the past few years in international rugby, hasn't it? But they've, you know, I think they've come here. I think they've made the improvements, and that's certainly, you know, one of the cornerstones when they beat the All Blacks this year in the Tri Nations was it was a much improved scrum.
Yeah, Matt Dunning there today, who was uncapped player in the Australian squad back in 2003 when he came into the World Cup, but didn't break through to the final team with Bill Young, Brendan Cannon, Ben Darwin, you may recall that front row. And what a battle they gave England. Again, accuracy from Latham.
Just so easy, wasn't it? It was just cleared away here. We'll have a look. Couple of missed passes. Latham in the middle of the field. He has got a lovely kicker of the ball. It's so good when they've got two left-footed kickers with Ghetto as well. The defence, you're always guessing. You're never quite sure where the kicking's going to come from. Barnes right-footed. Gregan's taking. He's actually kicking a lot more from 9 than he used to currently. So they're trying to develop. They've got kicking options all over the park, and with Mortlock when he's back in there, difficult for the defence.
Need a tidy line out here, Fiji. Oh, well, over the top. Gregan, meat and drink for him. Oh, a big hit on Barnes. That was Seru Rambani coming up fast, targeting his man. Barnes happily back up on his feet quickly. Gregan again. That's Rocky Elsom. Support from Mark Chisholm. And again, has Barnes back in place. Angled ball over the head. Oh, my goodness me, nearly a gem. Rambani it was, just getting there in the end to save the day. Oh, little bit of reaction between Rambani and Latham. Wants to at least Say more than a few words to him.
You see, here's a beautifully weighted kick, wasn't it? Just does enough. As we see here, Latham going on the ball. Well, Rugby, he's not allowed to go. He's not allowed to play the man when he's on the ground. So it's not that I don't think frustrated Latham, but he's not allowed. He's got to wait for the man to get back on his feet. There's a tackle earlier from Barnes. I think he's going to be looking for him next time, isn't he? You just have a look. Oh dear, that is... Oh, it's a lovely... No problems with the tackle.
Perfectly legit. But painful.
But yes.
Australia. A little bit of frustration creeping in. Barnes, inch perfect, and that was an absolute gem of a cross kick. But once again, it's happened 4 or 5 times in this game. It's been so near, but not yet quite fulfilled.
Not quite clinical enough, are they, in this in the 22 area? This is where they've got to finish. This is a sign, you know, the great teams, when they come up against slightly inferior opposition, when they get down there, they're much more clinical. We saw it last night with the Argentines. They missed a few scoring opportunities, and you just really felt if it had been Australia, if it had been the All Blacks South Africa, they would have taken them. That's why, you know, the question marks for me is, are they really in the number 4 ranked team in the world? Certainly in the rankings they are, but to me they just miss a little bit of that finishing quality.
Crouch.
Well, coming up to 2/3 point of the game, 3/4 point of the game, and still haven't got the bonus point for the 4 tries.
Stay bound, stay bound, stay bound.
Now the forwards decide to take it on themselves. Now they dig. The control at the back by Palu. Now it goes to Gregan, to Barnes. Close attention again from Rambeni, again from Seremaya Bai, but Gregan. It's a dream of a platform he gets, isn't it?
Rapini's everywhere at the moment, isn't he? He's lined right over the ball now, but he's making a lot of
so
tackles.
Many out wide here. Gitto, lovely offload. In goes Ashley Cooper. Oh, that was a gem. That was just give and take at the same time.
This is where they are so good, isn't it?
Take and give even.
This is where they are so good. It's in the close contact situations. Earlier in the build-up, they had 4 players attacking the line. Rabini is flying in everywhere at the moment. And you just see, this is a finish where Gregan just shifts out wide. Look at this, under pressure. He changes the line slightly. It's always, we talk about the player coming from depth and the player coming straight who makes the difference. And we see it here. Ratamui, nothing he can do there because Ashley Cooper has picked such a good line coming off here. There we go, he's straight between, and the fullback there as well, Ligari. Nothing they can do about that one. Well played, Australia.
It was lovely, beautiful execution. Connolly happy about that, I would have thought. And for Ashley Cooper, one of the youngsters in the squad, 23-year-old, 2 tries before he came to the World Cup, and that was his 2nd of the World Cup. Scored against Japan, scores against Fiji. Yeah, it was a little gem. So they've got their bonus point. That's the first target. 36-12. On this beautiful afternoon, this great stadium. And how good to see a rugby international being staged here. Never before this World Cup have Montpellier hosted international rugby. Quite a few, of course, top 14, top 14 games for the French Championship, but international rugby never. Happy occasion. Lovely try.
Nigel, that try is going to spark the first changes for Australia. 2 changes to the front row. Matt Dunning and Stephen Moore coming off, with Greg Holmes and Adam Fryer coming on.
So they've done their stuff. The prop and the hooker, Dunning and Moore, and Holmes and Fryer take over. Well, it's a pretty enervating day. It's been hot and they've done their job well. Relative inexperience, really. Greg Holmes, 11 caps before the World Cup, and that will be his first appearance. Coming on now as replacement. Adam Fryer, 3rd time as replacement. But all the experience they glean on this world stage, so valuable. And a rest for the most capped player of all time. George Gregan gives way to Sam Cordingley. There is a player who I'm sure everyone here will have just appreciated the fact I saw George Gregan play.
Well, I think so. I think he's a mythical character, isn't he, in world rugby, certainly. Yeah, we talked in the south of France. Now he's going to play his rugby in Toulon, of course, next season. So after this World Cup, his bags will be staying firmly in France, and he'll be playing the Pro 2 competition over here, joining up with Tana Rumaga, another legendary international rugby figure.
Yeah, it's a host of big names have joined Toulon in their battle to try and get up to the top division. They really have been pouring the money out. Off the knees, taken on by Lingairi. Now it's with Rauluni. Just need a bit more of a power base up front.
They've got numbers out here, haven't they?
They have, and I think on that occasion Rambani tempted to go edge the wrong way, but he's got some forward support. They do get the continuity of possession a bit. Offload in the one hand, that's the normal pattern. Just didn't get it away. That's where they're so brilliant in the sevens. Oh, there's a target for Cordingley. Vantage over. Oh, it's
sloppy,
sixes and sevens, messy. And a bang on the head there for Rauluni.
Cordingley got so quick out of the blocks here. He really took a gamble, didn't he? You just caught him on the way
top
through.
Of the head, didn't he? I think.
It's got his knees, caught him right on the top of the head there.
Yeah.
Nigel, Fiji are responding to that change in the Australian front row. They're sending on another prop, Joan Railomu, who's going to replace Yala Tabua. Meanwhile, for Australia, Scott Staniforth is preparing to come on as well.
Thank you. Well, Railomu, certainly easier to say than Yala Tabua. But big occasion for Railomu. Plays in a junior club in France, Pattaya, and again, what a big experience for someone who's only capped once before to play against the Aussie front row. McMenamin in for Rocky Elsom. Well, we're down to the last quarter of the game now, 38-12. No embarrassment at all for Fiji here. But the problem, well, the one we pointed to at the front, that they just weren't going to get a decent platform and possession up front. And contrast the scrum half situation behind the men in gold and behind the men in white. But Rauluni, all the experience, he's done it a few times before against odds that have been stacked. Good clearance. Coming from Bai, I think.
You'd like to see the Fijians now. I think it's time, 20 minutes to go. Let's start putting a bit of width on the ball, and let's start what ball we've got. I think they've got to play with it. It's not the point kicking to touch and going to line-outs. No. Try and break the game up a little bit more to see some open running. The crowd would love it, and I think for confidence-wise going into Wales, because that is one game, if they play with the style that we know, they could really put Wales under some pressure, couldn't they?
They could indeed, yeah. You don't have to mention South Sea Islanders to the Welsh when it comes to the World Cup.
No, certainly not.
It's, you know, the old crack about when they lost to Samoa. Thank goodness it wasn't the whole of Samoa. That was in the days when, of course,
victory,
Samoa
wasn't it, back in 91?
91.
Right.
And then they, well, I've never been allowed to forget it. Lost to them twice. Samoa's first ever game, or Western Samoa's at then was first ever game in the World Cup. Beat Wales.
Well played, Paul Le again. He's had a strong game today.
It's a good one, isn't he?
Yeah, he has had a good one. We're away quickly here with Giteau.
Another player like Giteau with a bit of rugby league experience. Desperate defence. Latham just short. In the end, didn't pop it up, but he brought it back in. I think that's going to be a penalty against. Yeah, it is.
He had two bites of it, didn't he?
He did.
He certainly did. He had a look.
He knows he did.
He thought he could free his hands. Again, Giteau so quick to assess things, and he's away. You know, well, he has played at scrum half, hasn't he, for Australia this season, and Latham again deceptively strong. Shall I give it? No, I'll just roll over and I'll get penalised.
Nigel, Australia making a change. Staniforth is the man going to come on, and it's going to be Berwick Barnes, one of the stars of Australia's performance, who's limping a little bit now. He's going to be...
Well, he did have a problem with what they said was a tight thigh muscle, and was even sort of a little bit of a question mark for this game, but I've been impressed with him. who could not. Here he goes, and you see he's limping a bit. You're quite right, Matt.
No, he's played well, hasn't he?
He's played the class performance, I would say.
I think that although that tackle of Rupini on him, I think he just had a look to the touchline and said the legs tightened up a little bit. After that, he doesn't fancy another one.
Koyamambole has come on for Fiji. Untidy, it's been a nightmare, the line out for Fiji. Oof. And a bit of a collision. Hear the crowd now. The breakout, the loose ball, that's what they want. And Latham does what's sensible.
That's actually Cooper down, isn't it?
The centre.
No.
Oh, that's from that.
No, it's Staniforth. Staniforth has just come on. You'll see here, gets hit by Rupini again.
Right, I thought it was, in fact, it was
just drifting across.
Ashley Cooper was the one who got out of it. Yeah, but it's Staniforth who stays down. Literally his first touch of the game.
It's not the guy you want hunting you down as Rupini. He's come on with something to prove, hasn't he?
Well, he has. He's just absolutely. Well, tension's still there, you can see, for the Australian replacement. And it's that awful sign when you see the guy holding his other shoulder, like partial dislocation or something, which can happen. Such a common injury these days. Latham running the distance. Pressure here now. That's gone forward advantage, and very good work by Phil Waugh to prevent the exploitation of that advantage.
Yeah, it was good recovery play by Waugh. We haven't seen a lot of him today, have we? It hasn't been that type of game. But I get the feeling now, as that's Mitchell, they're just having a bit of a look now, aren't they? Because there have been some big hits in the last 15 minutes. The players starting just to have a little sneak look there to see if I got anyone bearing down on me. Yeah. And that's a result of big tackling. And it can play on the mind, certainly, can't it?
Yeah.
So Lobo Balavu is coming on. Gabriele Lobo Balavu,
Once they're ready, send them on and get them
one of the youngsters, one of the new players. Well, a lot of Eastern supporters, they really have come along, and of course in this pool, Japan here with terrific support and cheering, no doubt, to the echo, the Fijians here.
Well, Japan, of course, preparing for their big game against Canada on Tuesday night in Bordeaux, which will be an interesting one, won't it?
Yes, it will. Some of those can produce crackers, absolute epic games sometimes, when a team is playing to get a win in the tournament. And never forget the USA Japan in 2003. Probably as a game, as an event, it was one of the greatest of the whole tournament, although of course it was all about who was going to get a win in the tournament.
So vital. Namibia already talking about it for their game against Georgia, aren't they?
Yes.
That's been their whole facet. That is their World Cup final. As here we go, attacking on the right hand side, and Jermaine Rupini again.
He's determined, he's going to make his mark, and he has done. Rauluni.
Hands away, goal, Rack!
And again. The attack's just so tight at the moment. This is a problem. You really want the Fijians to take the width of the field, but they're just attacking in the close quarter areas. Well, they're having a little bit of joy here at the moment.
They are too. Oh, they're having it's so loose, isn't it? They just can't tidy it up. Here he goes again. This is Rambedi. The crowd are rising to him. I just think he might spark another little bit of Fijian magic. But it is a game where I do wish they had put their full strength on.
First white, second 18.
And they're beginning to feel these hits. You're quite right, Simon. They're going down and staying down a bit more often nowadays. And as you say, even looking to avoid impending doom.
Oh, it's certainly the...
Number 8 to come on instead, yes.
Well, the hits now, I think as we're... watch the World Cup evolve into such the global event that is now. But every World Cup that comes around, we see the players bigger, stronger, and it's more physical. Certainly, the hits are bigger, The players are bigger. I think that's a fact borne out in the statistics that the players now playing rugby throughout the world are bigger. From each World Cup, there's been a steady progression.
Fascinating, that, isn't it? A very significant difference too.
Yes.
Someone was totting it up, weren't they, recently? Said it's more than, it's something like I think it was the back rows or the centres were on average a stone heavier. I don't know how many kilograms that is.
Well, that would be about 6.5 kilos, so 6.5, 7 kilos.
The average had gone up. It's staggering in 4 years.
Nigel, sorry to interrupt. Australia just making their last 2 substitutions. Stephen Hoyles has come on for Palu, and they've also sent on Julian Huxley. So all the Australian changes made. And I'll give you a quick update on Berwick Barnes. He took his seat on the Australian bench. He was given an ice pack, spent most of the time with it on his head because it is very hot here. And then the physio came up to him and has now strapped it onto his right thigh. So he's got heavy strapping. Hopefully for Australia's point of view, that won't be too serious.
Sure. Well, they've certainly been nursing the captain Mortlock as well, and they've got Larkham who's had the knee op, so they don't. Last thing they need is Berwick Barnes.
You just wonder with Larkham, you know, just looking further ahead as we have a break and play here with Australia. Larkham hasn't had a lot of rugby, has he? And as we say, coming back from this injury, they've got to keep Barnes and Cotton Wool as well. They'll be. I think the management will be very happy with the way he's performed at this World Cup. He has really stepped up and delivered. And
well, he's taken a huge weight off their mind, because without Larkham, they weren't be sure, were they?
No, it's
the guy who had not been capped up until this World Cup.
Always a question mark. Always a question mark. But he's stood up. He's fronted up. So that's a huge relief for the Australian side that they do have a player capable of stepping into Larkham's shoes.
Love that banner. Fiji, Carver, Power. Voila.
Don't really understand. Standing forwards off. Who's come on?
Take the hit.
So here we go again with the scrum. We're set up.
So Huxley on, normal fullback. Looks like he'll be covering at centre for Staniforth, who, well, instant dismissal because of that crunching tackle at the hands of Rambeni. Rather like Brian Lima, went into one tackle in his first appearance in the his fifth World Cup, and seconds later was retired with almost what looked like concussion at the time. Hell of a hit. We're down to the last 13 minutes.
Try and keep your hand off the deck, okay? Bind straight away, okay?
And as now is commonplace in French rugby stadiums, the Mexican wave.
The Montpellier wave.
Let's go then.
There we are in the Stade de la Mosson. Well, will we get a flourish from Fiji before the end? Weary legs. It's been a grueling, torrid afternoon for the forwards, as Australia have dominated. But they're having a final flourish here. A little bit of a flying wedge. Not much forward momentum, but Ngovu has managed to make some little bit of impact there. What they need to do is try and get the ball in hand and stretch and use their natural instincts of running. They're never going to win this battle by forward power, but they might out here. A little bit of flair and coming into play now. It's lovely work. Wide out is Nevu, scored the earlier try, then the error which nearly sets Australia back on the attack with Latham.
Well, that's what you want to see from Fiji, as the ball the player's been given a little bit of space to work into. Unfortunately, they were just a little bit too lateral there. And as you say, the try score, well, not great ball security there, was it, by Nevu, but they're up on their feet. They're hoping, like all the rest of the supporters in this stadium, that Fiji can finish with that flourish.
Well, they're glad to just know that they're safe and sound. Building to, of course, a certain quarter-final with almost, without doubt, it being against England. Here's a lovely charge, and this is Loaravo. Off he loads to Koya Mambayole. On to Rauluni. 2 men out wide. This is Rambini, just short, but still possession. Fiji, the crowd willing them to get another score at this point. Australia equally determined to keep them out, but that's a lovely feed. Should have offloaded Nevu at that time, and the breakout spells danger. There's only one man back home, and fortunately, I'm not sure it was who missed it, but it's still on. This is Takiri. He's got the player wide. This is Mitchell, and he skipped out of the tackle. So nearly at one end, but it is a score for Australia at the other. Drew Mitchell, and exciting passage of play.
Great passage of play. Cordingley made the big mistake in the defence. He was been flying out of the line there. Was beautifully read back on the inside pass. This is the end of the move. Looked like a knock on to me from Chris Latham, I've got to say, from the attempted pass from Nevu. Again, coming through. Well, he's not going to be playing football for the Socceroos, is he? They've switched it around, and here comes Takiri with the good pass to the outside. Mitchell's there, and he's just too quick. Well, it was end-to-end rugby there, wasn't it? It was the most promising attack we've seen Fiji put together in the second half. And
that was the best bit, though, wasn't it? Chisholm, second rows, and ball skills sometimes missing, but good slip out of the tackle by Drew Mitchell. Another guy who honed his skills in the Sevens game. Didn't ground it.
Not the greatest of groundings. At first look, he had the arms out. I want to see that
again. Well. Imagine that was in the final.
It was untidy, wasn't it? Untidy, sloppy play. It's
well, try's been given. That's that.
There'll be a quiet word in his ear from the backs coach Scott Johnson after the game, I'm certain.
I tell you what, he must be very relieved it's happened in a game in which there's no doubt they're going to win.
Certainly.
Can you imagine?
Well, we've seen it happen. Just silly errors like that, and I remember watching the game Fiji against France in the '87 World Cup. I think it was a quarter-final when Korodua was away down the touchline with the ball in one hand going in to score a try. As here we see Chabal's cousin on the field.
Well, I've no idea what he's protesting about. I hope everyone ignores him. Anyone who interrupts a game deserves what comes their way.
It's going back to Korodua. Great memories of running down the touchline. Would have possibly put France out of that semi-final position in the '87 World Cup. Of course, they went on to that famous game against Australia and then on to losing the final against New Zealand. But that was a similar situation. Just 5 metres out, ball in one hand, running as beautifully as the Fijians doing it. Hits his knee, no try.
I can confirm, Nigel, that wasn't me, by the way. I'm still here with my microphone.
Just wondered for a moment. It looks so much like you.
I can bring you a little bit up to date with the Australian bench, which is looking a bit like a casualty unit at the moment, because
it's been a hard afternoon.
It has, and I think Derek Barnes is a real concern. He was limping past me a little bit more heavily than he was limping a moment ago, and that's perhaps swelled up a little bit. Scott Staniforth has his left arm strapped to his body as well, so he seems
that's the signs of an acromioclavicular at the least, isn't it? That's sad.
Yep,
anyone you feel sorry for at this stage. Yeah. Thank you, Matt Spiro, who's not like us. We're in the shade. He's out in the sun on the touchline, trying to avoid the Fijian tacklers. Away with Hugh McMenamin. Big second row. This is Cordingley. These players may have cameo roles to play, but they know they're contesting the test start place, or even the place within the start 22 when it comes to the quarterfinals, because we now know Australia are there, top of the pool, and almost certainly going to be facing England in a replay of the last World Cup final. I'll be there for that. I hope all your viewers will be with us too on those occasions. This is good running. Julian Huxley just coming on, fed back by Dunning. This is good interplay, good support play, no problem. Stephen Hoyles.
Well played, Australia. Huxley with the initial bust, and just again, that's so effective. The support players getting to the breakdown and being effective at the breakdown, able to clear away. That was very well played. Well taken try by Hoyles.
Well, he's Mr. Substitute, is Stephen Hoyles. 8 of his first 10 caps were as a replacement, and that's his third try, his third time on in this World Cup as replacement. This was good, wasn't it? It was a lot of very good skill in this movement.
Well, it was Phil Waugh's the key man. He was first receiver from the line-out, put Huxley into the hole. They had a couple of dummy runners, and then it was Waugh again in the number 9 spot. It's your big second row coming through there. Vickerman with the nice pass on to Hoyles, and just showing they're adept with the ball in hand as well, as good as the Fijians are traditionally. The Australians quite happy.
Class effort. Very good. They're up to 50. They'll settle for that. And once again, the last 20 has always been a problem area for the South Sea Islanders, and those earlier, well, efforts beginning to tell. The very fit, strong Australians have put in the work early in the game and reaped the dividends at the back end, as we've seen with the other South Sea Island teams against the big guns. About 5 minutes to play, and just some way wide, but it's been a satisfactory effort indeed for Australia.
See Huxley shrugging off the attempted tackles. There's Rabini comes flying and looking to cause some trouble as well there, and there's the finish from Hoyles. Australia want to get their Fiji trying to get their hands on the ball here. I'm sure they want to finish this game with and make some sort of mark on this to finish this in the last 5 minutes.
3 tries in each half for Australia, 1 in each half for Fiji.
And here's a chance.
Here's a chance. Lingairi, oh my goodness, never mind, it went backwards. Good running, they can all run. And that was again Rauluni, but you need support players, and Australia have them rather better than do.
Oh dear.
Fiji. And Latham, I think he got the call from outside, and the player was already in touch.
He was already in touch, wasn't he? But Latham came from. It was good play from the Australians here. They forced a turnover. This is the initial bust by Rauluni. As you say, they all run. They're just naturally balanced, aren't they? They really run so beautifully with the ball.
Yeah. Lovely sleight of movement, sleight of hand, sleight of foot, balance.
Good line-out work again, Australia.
It's been good, hasn't it? Not challenged very seriously, but still the tackle's coming in on Giteau that time. Went backwards, says referee Owens. Up on the drive is Chisholm, trying to make amends for his lack of footballing skill.
Well, he hasn't there, because he just said that ball knocked away rather easily.
They need to start the ball moving in hand. Fiji, much more like it's off again. But just running out of gas, I think, as much as anything. Delasau had his moments. Get behind me, says Konduravu. Dear oh dear, Australia.
There's Hoyles hooking that one back with his hand, but it's a worrying sign when the prop's trying to call the runners off around him, isn't it? As you'll see here, the tackle will be made by Fry, and I think is that Hoyles there over the top, or no, that's McMenamin who's over the top. That one just hooked it back.
Well, this crowd have probably just heard announced over the PA. I think it was like 33,000 people here, almost capacity, willing Fiji to have one last flourish.
Okay, no numbers, boys, no numbers in late.
Well, it's been a very long afternoon for the Fijians, and it was from this platform here that they did launch their scoring movement in the second half. Can they pull something from this line out?
It's taken well by Roanga. Now then, coming round Nkovu, lasting the pace well. Rauluni just has a little look in, out it comes. Now big Koyamimboli.
Don't pull him in. Stay.
Legs a little bit tired now, I sense, apart from Satu Uranga. Here's the favourite, this is Rambeni. Just needed a big Naiva or someone on support of him. No, 2-1, good hands from Lingairi. Chance again for Neymar. Just not quite.
Unlucky play. It was very well worked, manipulated down the short side here. And once again, we're talking about the small kick. Beautifully weighted here. He had the speed, didn't he? He got him behind Takiri there.
Didn't quite get the luck, did he, that time that Australia had the almost identical situation in the first half, which led to the Drew Mitchell's try.
Well kicked, this one. Takiri called it there.
Good ball. Lovely play. Got men inside. Oh, and stepping out of the tackle, they got men wide. All the way. Thank you very much. Nice soft run in for Drew Mitchell.
Beautiful rugby. Beautiful rugby. They've gone 95 metres there. Started from just the awareness of Takiri, who called the kick from accordingly. He saw the space in behind there. And then it was just performance. Have a look here. He's hooked it into with just the 15-metre mark. He saw the space. Takiri draws the man. It's well worked again. The passes are accurate. Ghetto then switches up outside, and it's all too easy from here.
Beautifully done. Copybook. The ball travels faster than the man, is the old adage, and terrific. Absolutely superb. And Drew Mitchell with his hat-trick assured, and applauded, I must say, to the echo by the crowd, who appreciated the quality of this Australian back play. And some happy supporters. Last few minutes of the game, I should think John Connolly will be pretty cheerful.
One would imagine so. The only thing really he's got to be worried about will be the injury situation.
Yeah.
We'll just hope for the Australian sake that Berwick Barnes isn't too severely injured.
Indeed not. I do hope not. So we're in what I think will be the last kick of the game, and it's going to be taken by Julian Huxley. Well, he's kicked a penalty in 3 conversions before, so he knows how to do it, but I notice he's been given the hardest one of the whole match. Huxley it is, with the final kick of the match. Is just going to stay out, but there you go, 55 points to 12. The final whistle goes, and a very satisfactory afternoon for Australia. A brave effort from an understrength Fijian squad. They gave us some moments of magic. We'd have liked for more, but Australia, they're through to the quarterfinals, 55-12. Good entertainment, and I'm delighted it was so well supported by the crowd.
Yeah, certainly. Well, it's been a feature of this Rugby World Cup in France. The crowds have really taken to all players, all teams have taken the field. As you said, it's an understrength Fijian side here today. They battled valiantly. They did get 2 tries on the board, scored a lovely try in half-time and another one in the second half. But it's all about Australia today, cementing their place in the quarterfinals. They won't be, I don't think they're a self-critical lot, and they'll be disappointed with a few of the mistakes they made in the scoring quarter of the field. But generally, they'll come away from this game, they'll be happy. The only question mark is over a slight injury worried to Berwick Barnes. Ghetto, he had a strong game, he was in everything today.
And Ghetto, outstanding game. 27 points in that total. That's just 1 point short of half the score of Australia today, and another cracker from that man there, wearing the number 12. Yeah, well played, Matt. They will be well satisfied, and that win assures them of their place at the top of the pool. Australia have Canada yet to come. That'll be in Bordeaux in 6 days' time. Fiji, well, they will have already targeted Wales in their last match. They kept their best players behind, which I think was a shame today. It would have been, I think, a slightly closer call, if not a tougher match for Australia. They play Wales in Nantes again in 6 days' time. But the usual pleasantries, the courtesies, and a crowd who have been terrific in their support for both teams. I'm very appreciative in the end, one has to say, of the Australian skills.
Well, it was all too easy really for the Australians today, wasn't it? They went through the gears. Their set-piece play was always going to be far too strong for the Fijians. Line-out looked very strong. Defensively also they competed very well.
Fiji's first defeat, but you didn't disgrace yourself today against Australia.
We try our best, but Australia just too good for us, I think.
Did you feel when you got those 2 tries either side of half-time that you had a chance to win?
Yeah, I think we believe that we can beat them, but it's just silly mistakes, lack of concentration. But we're just unlucky, I think. Australia just, you can't do that to Australia. They just, smash us from loose balls, turnovers.
But you're playing well and you're still in with a great chance ahead of the Wales match.
Yes, I think some positive out of this game, but we'll go back and learn where we go wrong, and we'll have a crack at Wales at our last game.
Okay, thank you very much. All the best for the tournament.
Thanks.
I just love the Fijians, I have to say. I'm horribly biased, but they're such lovely people, and I don't know, wasn't that a charming, modest interview?
I felt the same with the Tongans and the Samoans also. As you said, the South Sea Islanders have really brought something to this World Cup, haven't they, in terms of spirit, and so humble, humble.
Absolutely.
As he said, they were just too strong for us. They accepted that. But the positive for me is he said, we're going to have a crack, and they are going to have a crack against Wales.
Absolutely, they will. I mean, yeah. So, watch out, the Welsh in Nantes.
Congratulations, John. 3 games, 3 victories. You must have been pleased with the performance today.
Oh yes, I mean it's a win. It means we're number 1 in the pool, so I guess that's a plus. We didn't play particularly well.
Where do you think Australia can improve?
Oh, probably across the park. I thought we were very sloppy today in most facets of the game.
So a bit of a warning, and then you've got the last pool match before you turn your attentions to the quarters.
That's correct, yes.
Are you concerned about the injuries? Berwick Barnes put in a terrific display today.
Yes, he's got a cork, he's okay. Scott Sanderforth's got a knock on his shoulder, that's probably our biggest concern.
But you've got some big men to come in as well.
Yeah, I have. I mean, hopefully we'll get ready for Canada now.
Thanks, John. All the best for the rest.
Well, we said they'd be self-critical, Simon. It's across the board. How good were you? Useless across the board.
Well, he's going to be tough. Well, I'm sure the players are going to be tough on it as well. They did miss a lot of scoring opportunities. I say they weren't really as accurate as they would have liked in the last 20. To say they were useless across the board, I don't know. I think he's a little bit tongue-in-cheek there. There was some very positive play out there today, but the game it fell away in the second half. It's always going to happen when you want to make the changes. You want to get guys off. You make 7 changes. You're not going to have the continuation. We haven't seen that in all the time. When they get that build up that lead, they make the changes. It's very difficult to maintain momentum, isn't it?
Look at the reception for these teams here. It's terrific, and fair play. It's lovely. The Australians being so well received here. They're a class act. You could be looking perhaps at a World Cup winner here. And boy, wouldn't this guy like to get a second World Cup under his belt, George Gregan. But it's a terrific and reception of similar warmth to the ever-popular Fijians. The people for whom rugby is certainly second to their religious fervour, but they're equally enthusiastic about those things.